Hello again and welcome back to the Too Deep Coverage Podcast. Today, we're doing a double feature, starting down south with the NFC and AFC later today. We have two more divisions to go over tomorrow, so be sure to subscribe. We'll be going over feuds, storylines, and next season's predictions for the South. We've already gone over the North and West in each division. We'll be covering each one before the draft. So go ahead and check out those podcasts if you haven't already, right here on this channel after this episode. Be sure to let me know what you think will happen next season in the comments below. We're going to be going over all four teams in the division today, so let's get right into it. But first, I have to talk to you about my friends and partners over at W Energy. Since 2021, they've been making the safest, cleanest, best-tasting, crash-free energy drink on the market. This American-made, clean formula energy drink is made to give you a long boost of energy and concentration with no crash or slump afterwards. All flavors are unique and made by W, so you'll never find our taste anywhere else. With multiple limited time and hydrating flavors, you'll always find your next favorite with us. With all drinks having no sugar, no fillers or artificial colors and dyes, no secret or hidden ingredients, and of course being gluten-free, W is the best drink to hit the market in years. With every drink averaging out to be just $1 each, your pocket and body will thank you for making the switch to W Energy. Whether you want to switch it up daily or stay committed with your favorite flavor, W has all the products you need from packs, tubs, and even cans. Be sure to use the link in the description to get your starter sampler pack or whatever amazing product you choose with an extra 10% off using my code TWIZZLER. It's like the candy, but with a 2. Whizzler. Add some energy and focus back into your life today with W Energy. Alright guys, let's get right into it. We have the NFC today. Let's go just like all the other ones. We're going to start with the lowest team in the division and then move up, okay? Starting with the Saints today out in New Orleans. Kellen Moore has a lot to prove, in my opinion. Okay, he was a great offensive coordinator. He also had probably the best offensive roster in the league to work with too. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with what he has to work with, especially since New Orleans has been underwhelming for multiple years now, right? You got to think that he's going to have some struggles maybe implementing some of the schemes that he wants to do. Maybe he doesn't have as high-performing players or football-smart players. You just don't really know, okay? But he's got to be able to handle the defensive roster too, because he is the head coach. He has a lot of input. He has a lot of responsibility as well. Even though the defensive coordinator has a lot of that, he's still going to be the one to make sure things are running on a smooth track. But he also has to be the lead decision maker for the whole team. When it comes to personal issues, team quarrels. A lot of that stuff would be passed off to other people, right? Sirianni, maybe even Big Dom. You never know where that's going to be, but he was probably never really dealing with actual conflict that got to the office. Maybe on the field, a little chirping, a little fighting on the practice field, but nothing like he'll have to being the head coach of a whole team. But also, there's a big problem with the quarterback spot now, okay? Because a few weeks ago, they reported Derek Carr could be out with a shoulder injury that's been, really bothering him for a long time. So he could be out the whole season. Technically, it's indefinite, but it could be the whole season. So are you going to go with the guy you drafted last year with Spencer Rattler? Are you going to be looking for a new quarterback in this draft? A lot of people are thinking that if Shadeur falls all the way to 9, then the Saints are going to snatch him up immediately. There's no other choice for them because they don't really have a prospect that, led another team that was good enough. No offense to Spencer Rattler, but that's kind of the boat that the Saints are in. Okay, it's are you just going to hope when you draft Shadeur that he's going to be the one to save the state of the franchise with the new head coach? That's another thing too. What if Kellen Moore gets Shadeur and Shadeur underperforms, and then in 2 or 3 years maybe he's traded, maybe his rookie contract doesn't get renewed? You never really know what to expect, especially when you have somebody doing something for the first time. So we'll see what they do. I don't think they're going to do very good. I think that their roster is limited, plus the division is getting a lot better. So, I'm hoping that this is not coming true. But when I was writing this up, thinking about all the teams, thinking about the state that the Saints were in last year, which was pretty abysmal, I'm not going to lie, I have them going 5-12 this year. Especially if they don't draft Shadeur, I think it's going to be a big problem for them. If they do draft Shadeur, there's a chance to go 9-8. I'm not gonna lie, just off talent. He kind of made Colorado a winning enough program, right? A bowl team. I think he can make the Saints like a 7 in the NFC with like a 9-8, maybe the second team out of the South to make it. You never really know. We'll see what the other divisions do, but 5-12 with the roster they have right now, leading up into the draft on Thursday. Pardon this video interruption. We have some breaking news. Come and join the new Twizzler Discord, a place to hang out with friends, make new ones, and find a like-minded community. Find new people to game, chat, or even debate with. We have everything you want and need from Minecraft, Call of Duty, Fortnite, GTA, and our special areas to watch and talk sports. Be sure to join today and stay up to date with the community and all the content we have. Follow the Linktree link in the description, and we'll see you soon. Back to the video. Alright guys, let's move up quickly into the Panthers. Last year they were horrendous for a long time. Then halfway through the year, once Bryce Young came back into the lineup, it was like, who is this guy? He's somebody that kind of like seems like he's coming from behind now. The resurgence at the end of the year kind of cements the fact that he was a number 1 pick for a reason. He can throw the ball. He can make it happen. He can lead teams to wins. They finished a lot better than I thought they did. I thought they only had 3 wins, and I was confused like how their pick is so low. But they had 5 wins. So I'm pretty surprised. He did pretty good. But I think that now, can the coaching, compared to Saban, where he was drafted from, to now, I think his name is Nick Canales, can they meet him in the middle? Is there good enough coaching there for him? Plus, is the team good enough, the line good enough, the receiving core good enough with Xavier Legette to make him the quarterback they need to possibly have a chance to come and win the division or maybe get the second spot in the playoffs? We'll see. Okay, that's kind of the problem, I think. If they have a good rest of the offseason, a good draft coming up on Thursday, kind of picking high, if they protect Bryce Young, maybe get him another weapon in the second or third round, there's a chance that he can, really carry the team into a different situation than last year. But that receiving core is pretty depleted. I mean, they don't really have any pieces other than Legette that can really, I don't want to say change games, because he can't really change games either right now in this point in his career. He's still really young too, so I think they just needs more to work with. Another thing for me, I don't even know a defensive name on that team. What are they gonna do when it comes to defense? They have to defend against Baker Mayfield and Penix now every year, and they might have Shadeur on the Saints if he goes there, staying in black and gold into the NFL. So you have to think, all right, are the Panthers going to be able to put together a team that's good enough to now get into this NFC South that is getting better? I'd say, with Michael Penix on the Falcons at the end of the year last year, he almost carried them over the Bucs if the Bucs lost the last couple of games, and they thought they were going to if, Mike Evans came back hurt and he didn't really perform the way that he did, because he is so good. But anyway, guys, let's move right into the record predictions for the Panthers. With the roster they have now before the draft, once again, I'm thinking they're going to go 7-10. They definitely performed better than they did the year before. I think the fact that Bryce Young is actually pushing to become a better quarterback, that he has a chance to take their team to the next notch up, which could be third in the division, which is what I have them pinned as, is third in the division again this year. Only because I think that their team is not good enough to really make a play into the playoffs. I just think they have maybe one more year of development, and then it's all up in the air. Especially if Baker starts getting on to the back end of his career, Mike Evans retires. There's a chance that the Bucs actually kind of fall off, unless they draft a quarterback next year when the draft is just like supposed to be filled with talent. So, in the first NIL draft, I think it's really going to be this one coming up, because a lot of these guys are transfers, but not all of them have started with NIL purely, like a lot of these kids coming up. So we'll see how that goes. But I think for now, 7-10 is a pretty easy prediction to make. I don't think it's too far off of last year. 5 wins, I think, going up to 7 is perfectly fathomable, especially if Bryce Young plays well throughout the whole year. I think you're probably still going to lose quite a few games to good teams you have to play, maybe a road game or two, just because the team composure, maybe the coaching component of things. I just don't really see the Panthers as like a team that has all the pieces together yet. I think maybe they know they have like a strong border of the puzzle, and they really have to start filling in the middle section. And I think that's what they're going to try and do this year in the draft, and probably next year, or even during this year in free agency, and try and get these people that are really upset with teams, or just get pieces that they didn't think or weren't available before the draft. So 7 and 10. All right, so let's move on to the Falcons. They got 3rd last year. Penix rounding out the year after Kirk Cousins was just pretty bad. You don't want to say that an owner is in question because it's his team, but Arthur Blank's decision-making for sure is in question. Arthur Blank wrote a blank check for Cousins. He gave him the bag, no trade clause, basically unreleasable. He has so much guaranteed money. They kept him after the injury day deadline, so he'll get even more money. I think that the fact that he has a chance to be off of the Falcons already, it just kind of shows like, okay, who's making these decisions and what's going on? Because you kind of have to think, all right, we have Penix, we have a good quarterback. We have a good running back with Bijan Robinson. We have Kyle Pitts still, so you're hoping that his potential can come out, even though he looks like a total. You're kind of at the point where, as the Falcons, you have to think, all right, how many more decisions can we make as an organization without Arthur Blank stepping in the way for his own personal preference? I think that's what happened with Kirk Cousins. Is it could have been Arthur Blank, and then these guys were planning to draft Penix all along, especially having the pick they did. Regardless if they had Kirk Cousins or not, I think they were going to play Penix this year. You just don't pick a quarterback with that pick, no matter what, if you don't want him to play at least second year, right? So no matter what, he was going to play this year. But we'll see what happens in this year's draft. We'll see if it's another big shock. They did just lose their center. I think it was their center to us, the Bears. So I'm fine to take him. I have no problem with that. These guys are. But anyway, with Penix being the full-time starter, I think they have a chance to win more games than they did last year. I think he has a chance to kind of like take them up over the edge, especially at the end of games, because he's poised. He's played a lot of years already. He's started a lot of games, been to a lot of big games. So the unity of the O-line might be compromised losing the center. So we'll see what happens in training camp and the draft and everything with them. But I think they have to go conservative this year since they made a splash last year. They need to make the right choice and maybe pick a center, maybe pick an O-lineman or somebody to help Bijan too, because I feel like Bijan has greatly underperformed coming from Texas. So let's just move right on to the prediction. I think they're going to go 9-8. I know that sounds so crazy to say that they're going to do that again, or basically be even again. But I just don't see a world where the Falcons can put everything they have together and turn it into a package that's better than what the Bucs have as a package. Only because Baker has a little bit more NFL experience. I think that he knows how to win games where Penix may not. I think Penix might have a little more pressure on his shoulders this year. Sophomore slump could be something that we talk about later on at the end of the season, or maybe midway in the season if they're a losing team by their bye week. I think there's just a lot of things that can happen at the top of this division, especially if the Bucs don't really have as many injuries as last year. I think they lost 3 or 4 games in a row purely out of injury. So just think of how good they were. Their seeding could have been different. They played a couple different teams into the playoffs, and they're in the NFC Championship. So I think the Bucs are actually probably one of the most black horse teams there are, especially because it doesn't seem like they're affected by the cold as much. Maybe other than like a Miami team. I feel like NFC teams are more resilient. So All right, guys, let's finish this one out. We got to make another one right after this, so we're gonna be going over the AFC South. But let's talk about the Bucs here, because they're definitely the best team in the division. They've won it the last 5 years in a row. 1 with Brady, 4 with the homeboy Baker. But I think now that Baker has made himself a career man in Tampa, he's definitely top 5 in the NFC. You may think, okay, well, who's next to him? Jalen Hurts. Okay, I feel like Baker's probably a little more accurate, maybe a little more dynamic throwing. And I like the Eagles. My wife's an Eagles fan. See the poncho back there for forever. But we also have, Jared Goff. He's a pretty stone statue kind of pocket guy. Same thing with Stafford. A lot of these quarterbacks in the NFC playoffs are not super crazy. Maybe Jane Daniels is the next one that's he's just a little bigger, maybe a little better decision making wise than Baker. Still just because that's what we saw in this 1 year to compare him to. But Baker is just amazing. He's in the place that he's going to be to end his career. I hope he has a solid 2 or 3 more to go, especially with Mike Evans being his duo. Mike Evans definitely saved for him. If he didn't think that he could play and win, be successful with Baker the same way he could be successful with Tom Brady, I think he wouldn't have left. I know it's a lot of money to stay there with the incentives, and he's got 1,000 yards every year of his career. I just think that Mike Evans is a standout talent, instant Hall of Famer with his stats, and I'm hoping they can make another championship push with Baker. I think it would solidify Baker as a quarterback as well. But the thing to look out for the Bucs, like we were talking about earlier, is that this easy division is getting harder. I think now that they're gonna have more quarterbacks in this division. Having Penix being on the Falcons after having, just after this Matt Ryan era, it's like it's the new era for the Falcons. So you have to think that the Falcons are going to invest a lot into this one guy. So if Penix is healthy, they're going to put everything they can to make him successful. And with Bryce Young getting a lot better, there's a chance that the Bucs lose some of these division games, maybe the second one of the year, because they actually are able to watch film and capitalize based off of film better because they've had more playing time. And then you never know what's going to happen with the Saints. What if they do get Shadeur, and Shadeur takes, just this crappy team that, dropped off the edge of a cliff last year and takes them to 10 wins, and then they're battling the Bucs for first place, and the Bucs lose 4 division games, and now, their record went from like a possible 12-5. Now it's like teetering 9-8 at the end of the year. I think it can be big for the Bucs to really capitalize this year. Establish dominance, especially with Penix and whoever the Saints bring in. I think they need to really show like, okay, we have a better defense. We have what we need to win. Okay. For me, guys, I think with them having their division getting a little harder, I'm going to bring their win total to 10 wins, 7 losses. They'll probably win 4 division games. I see them losing 1 to the Falcons again, and maybe 1 to the Panthers, just if, somebody's off or somebody does get hurt or somebody's just out for a week. You never know what can happen in the NFL. Somebody could literally, week 1, like Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays in, Achilles is just ripped to shreds, and then they're not playing again for even the same team that they were on. So that's the NFC South there, guys. Pretty quick and simple. It's not the scariest team in the NFL. Pretty easy to go over. Pretty underwhelming. I think that Carolina has a long way to go. But I think they can do it. I have this weird optimism about them because last year, throughout the whole year, they really didn't quit. Bryce Young, straight up admitted, like, hey, I needed to get benched. I felt like, he needed that. So if he needed that, then, maybe coming into this year with that chip on his shoulder still, being a bad team might help him, make his own team better. But anyway, guys, be sure to go down below, subscribe, check out the other videos. I've uploaded a lot already this week, so be sure to check all those out. We have 3 more divisions to go over before the draft. If this is your first video you've watched, you've missed 4, and you still have 3 more to go. Okay, so be sure to check all those out and everything else we have here with Twizzler. So go down below, get 10% off your W Energy. We'll see you later. Peace out.